Hey guys, tonight we're going to be going over just how powerful Acnologia is, the black dragon of the apocalypse. I have seen so much controversy on how powerful this dragon is. Is he planetary? Is he island level? Is he somewhere in between? An important question, is he stronger than Zeref? These are all things we're going to go over in tonight's video because I believe that the duality and the constant shift back and forth in this series over who's stronger, is Zeref going to be the big bad guy, or is it going to be Acnologia? The way that that's played with in this story, I think, is very underrated and needs to be explored more. So tonight we're going to do our best to go over those details and finally come to do a decision on who the most powerful one of those two are and just how powerful Acnologia truly is. Now, I want to start off this how I always start off power scaling videos, and I want to go over Acnologia's speed first. Speed is the most contentious category in power scaling when you're talking about characters because there's so much back and forth. There's so much conflicting narrative kind of objectives that the character does compared to what it might show on paper. So I think the speed is always the best thing to get out of the way first. Thankfully, there's not much to speak about because Acnologia's pretty much only speed feat is when he arrived on Ishgard and absolutely blitzed God Serena. Now, God Serena is a very interesting character in the sense of he is the strongest wizard saint in all of Ishgard. He has 8 different types of Dragon Slayer magic and is one of the Spriggan 12. And the way he's kind of looked at there, he's mid to high Spriggan 12 members as well. He's not one of the weakest members in that group. So Acnologia sniffs him out because he's a dragon slayer, and as we know, Acnologia's goal is to kill all dragons. So he kind of singles out God Serena fairly quickly, and without warning, without kind of any sort of like, trying to gauge his strength, Acnologia completely speed blitz him, grabs his claw out, and just pulverizes God Serena, rips a massive chunk out of him, and just straight kills him. I was shocked when I watched this. I'm like, oh, well, God Serena has to get back up. We have to see what his other 8 Dragon Slayer magics are. And we get that in a way, but not how I was originally thinking. And it is a crazy speed feat because not only is he blitzing God Serena, but the Wizard King of Alvarez, August, the biological son of Zeref, is completely taken aback. I didn't even see him move type of thing. Just kind of gauging just how truly fast Acnologia is. It is important to mention, though, that this speed I'm reserving only for in his human form. It stands to reason that in his dragon form, being bigger, having the bulkier mass, that he can't move as quick as he can in his human form. But he is quick enough to take down someone on the level of God Serena, no difficulty, and actually just blitz him. Now, that would make him automatically faster than pretty much everyone on Ishgard. Now, we can go into the fact that there might be some characters who are more powerful than God Serena. People like Anatsu, a few other exceptions if you want to hype up Urza and stuff like that as well. There are a couple other characters where you might be like, well, I actually reckon they're stronger than God Serena. Gildarts is another example, and I would be inclined to believe that, but still, it goes to show that he is faster than pretty much everyone in the series. He's not fast enough to blitz Irene Balsarian, which stands to reason he's also not fast enough to blitz the Wizard King August. Even though he was taken aback, I wouldn't say Acnologia is quick enough to just completely do to August what he did to God Serena. So we know he's not blitzing the top tier characters in the show, but the fact that he was able to just one-shot God Serena like that implies to me at least that he is quick enough, or at least relative enough, to everyone else in the show. And that's where, by everyone else, I mean everyone else who has a claim as the fastest character in the series. And that's how I like to do speed scaling of, rather than specific calcs of light speed, supersonic speed, hypersonic speed, anything like that, I like to try keep it a little bit more vague and kind of in line with the narrative. So we know that anyone in Fairy Tale is not outspeeding Acnologia so much where speed as a category will come into play to affect any matchups we might go into. So I'm happy to call him one of, if not the fastest characters in the show. Now, what he did to God Serena is also a pretty impressive strength feat because he is ripping through God Serena's durability. We know the wizards and mages, their durability is based on how much magic that they have. Now, they can be caught off guard, and you could, hypothesize that God Serena was taken off guard, so he didn't have a chance to form any sort of defense against Acnologia's attack. But it is something to keep note of that he was able to take out, uh, you know, top tier member of Ishgar, one of the strongest wizards in the show, had enough brute force to just rip apart his body. It is something to mention. His greatest physical strength feat, though, in my opinion, is, well, clashing with Natsu and stuff like that. That's very impressive because we know how powerful Natsu is. On paper, in terms of visual spectacle, the greatest strength feats is what he does against Makarov and then by extension Gildarts. We see him completely belittle and manhandle Master Makarov when he's in his giant form. Keep in mind, when he's in this form, he's like the size of a small mountain. Like, he's small mountain might be a bit of it depends on how small of a mountain we're talking about. But 20, 30 meters type of tall, he is massive in this form, and Acnologia is just belittling him. There is no attack that Makarov is doing that is even scratching Acnologia's scales, going into his durability, which we'll touch on more soon. But he's able to just push away Makarov, not just push him away, but pin him down and just disrespect Makarov right into the dirt. And Makarov can't do anything to fend against him. Now, Gildarts even goes as far to say that the power that he's using to toy around with the members of Fairy Tail is not even as much as he used when he was just facing Gildarts one on one. Meaning, we know Gildarts is a city level AP character just passively. Magnolia needs to completely shift its surroundings just for this man to walk through it because he can passively destroy large quantities of this town without even meaning to. Meaning, when he's really trying to do damage, Gildarts at minimum for me is mid to large mountain level. At a kind of, I shouldn't say minimum. I reckon that's a very fair assessment of Gildart's attacking power. Meaning, Acnologia was facing that version of Gildarts and being able to go toe to toe with him. So it implies a level of strength being able to take out, well, yeah, take out someone like Gildarts. We can know that they were going hand to hand at least because his arm and leg was ripped off, so he was being able to cut through Gildart's durability. The way he's able to pin down a Makarov, I would say that just the fact of the natural enhancement that dragons have in terms of strength over all like humans in the show, and the fact that Acnologia is the strongest dragon in the core series, not getting into the 100-year quest at the moment, I would say in the core series, Acnologia the strongest physical character in the show. I reckon that's very, very fair. We see that he's able to outpower Ignil, which we'll get into soon, and no human is really coming close to him. The fact that he's able to overpower the strongest fire dragon we see in the core series, I am happy to say that in terms of just physical strength, Acnologia is by far the strongest. Now, Fairy Tail is a really hard show to properly power scale with specific categories of scaling here. I can't say that in physical strength that Acnologia is definitely, mountain level of physical strength power scaling because we just really don't know that. I would say that he's like when Makarov goes into his giant form, he takes up quite a large space of Tenro Island. He's like 30 meters tall. the fact that Acnologia is able to belittle him like multiple times stronger than what he's doing to Makarov. I am happy to say that his physical strength is in that mountain level, probably mid to large mountain level. I could see him punching just with physical strength a mountain apart, but that is just solely kind of conjecture on my part. There's no real. I like to try put some sort of evidence behind what I'm saying here, but with how Fairy Tale judges their character strength, that's the best I can kind of go with. I reckon it's definitely more imperative that we just establish that he is the physically strongest character in Fairy Tale. I think that's enough for us to go on. And we know that in Speed, if he's not the fastest character, he's not getting outpaced by the fastest characters in the show. So Speed has become irrelevant. Physical strength, he's stronger than everyone. But let's get into some of his other stats, the more juicy topics, what you guys came here to talk about. And I'm going to be a little bit more of a tease and go on a little bit of a tangent. I'll keep it quick. And we need to just go over the fact that he is a dragon. Dragons are so powerful that even kind of regular dragons, from what we've seen, are so powerful that all the strongest guilds in Fiore aren't even able to injure them. And Acnologia, even when he was a human, was slaying these dragons, and he's said to have slayed up to 1,000 of them. So all the guilds in Fiore couldn't really injure just normal, basic, everyday dragons. Or if we wanted to highball them, let's say kind of the mid to slight, like low high tier dragons aren't able to injure them at all. Acnologia is killing thousands of them. It goes to show that just how kind of powerless, I would say, the Wizards of Fiore and by extension Alvarez really are to stop Acnologia. We know that Zareth claimed, like Shoot just stated, he can't beat Acnologia without Fairy Heart. And Acnologia kind of confirms this as well. Zareth's whole goal is to kill Acnologia. And you might be saying, well, Jack, that's the end of the video. Acnologia is the strongest. There's more to it than what we see on paper, which we'll get into at the end of the video. But we did need to just go over the fact that even as a human, he's slaying dragons, which no other human we're seeing has the ability to do. He's bathing in their blood, and from bathing in the blood of these thousands of dragons, he gains the ability, the attribute of arcane dragon slaying magic, which allows him to kind of just be a magic, like a pure magic dragon that can absorb any element. And this is absolutely crazy. And I actually personally reckon potentially his greatest, well, not greatest attribute, I'm playing on the same words there. His greatest strength is this ability to absorb any magic. Because it basically he's already insanely durable. Well, so let's do the durability factor now, and then we'll go into AP at the end of this video. He's insanely durable, so much so that all of Fairy Tale people that can like guild arts, I said, is like mid to high mountain tier. I'm kind of willing to even say he's higher than that, like multiple mountain tier, because we know there are other members of Fairy Tale that are at least low mountain tier in Tenro Island. So the fact that Guild Arts is so much more powerful, I could see his AP being higher. But we have not quite a few. We have a few different mountain tier level AP people in Fairy Tale at this time who cannot even injure Acnologia, not even scratch his scales. Acnologia could be asleep, and these people could do absolutely nothing to him. The first time we see him get injured in any meaningful way is against the Fire Dragon King Igneal, who is kind of played up to be a bit of an equal of Acnologia, one of the only few characters that is kind of spoken about in the same regard as Acnologia is. And Acnologia can take massive fire blasts from Igneal and show no noticeable damage. It takes Igneal giving it everything he has to wound Acnologia's arm, and in the process of that, Acnologia is completely ripping through Igneal and then killing him. So if we were to say that like dragons have a normal dragon has the durability of like all Fiore guilds, and then Igneel is much stronger than a normal dragon, so you can multiply that durability onto Igneel, and then Acnologia is just tearing through that. It implies an insane level of strength as well to be able to do and accomplish something like that, but his durability to withstand pretty much any attack is insane. Like there, most characters in this show, you can probably count on one hand the amount of people that could actually injure Acnologia. Fairy Heart Zeref, END Natsu Dragneel, Igneel the Fire Dragon King, and that's about it. Like Balsarian pushes him a little bit, but I wouldn't really say he got injured in any way, and he wasn't even in his dragon form where we can assume that his durability is even greater. But he's an absolute monster in just his base durability. But then we throw in, like I was mentioning, his arcane attribute that allows him to absorb any other element, meaning he also negates all other magic. Now, we don't get to see him exploring all these possibilities in the end of it. I really love Fairy Tail. I'm not going to defend how much I love it because I've been doing that a lot in the last few videos that I've been making. One flaw that it does, it has a few flaws actually, but one of its major flaws is that the bad guys kind of go out with whimpers a lot of the time, and Acnologia falls into this category as well, unfortunately, where his whole power, his whole fighting style kind of changes a lot, and everything with the rift of time and space, which we'll get into, becomes a little bit meaningless, I dare say, because he could have just been absorbing all these, Dragon Slayer attributes, all the magic from other people as well. You could maybe say that Natsu's is too powerful that he can like injure him, but the fact that he can absorb these magics means that not only is he becoming immune to those magics, but he's also increasing his stamina each time he devours them, implying a pseudo level of not immortality, but a pseudo level of infinite stamina in the sense of if he was fighting a bunch of wizards, he could just keep on doing this. And if we're going into a crossover battle, he can then like if he can absorb fire magic, I don't care what you can say. He can absorb, fire ninjutsu, or the flame fruit from One Piece, or maybe not Ryujin Jaka because that's getting into other things. But he can absorb different elements from different people in different worlds. I feel like we know that it's not just magic that Natsu can devour. He can devour normal flames. Meaning to me that I feel like Acnologia can kind of become immune to any element thrown against him. Even if he wasn't immune by it, he then has the immense durability that is almost impossible to get through. We know that when he was a human, he was a master of healing magic as well, implying that he might be able to heal himself. And even if he couldn't gain access to an enemy's element, he could absorb the natural elements around him to heal himself, giving him not just a pseudo form of infinite stamina, but also a pseudo form of immortality, which is really, really crazy to think of, and I think by far his strongest strength. Strongest strength, not very elegant, Jack, but you know what I'm meaning. So I do reckon his durability is the thing that is low-key not discussed enough. But AP. What do we know about his AP? At the start of this video, I said some people place him planetary, some people place him island level, some people place him in between. I reckon it is actually a mixture of in between and then also further than what people are saying in some respects. And hear me out on this. Don't just click off. He's definitely above island level. We can just say that right now. He goddamn yawns and wipes off Tenro Island off the map. And you cannot tell me that that was anywhere close to his strongest. We know that from what he can do and what Zeref mentions about him, this is a character that could easily blow up multiple Tenro Islands without any trouble whatsoever. So he's definitely above island level. I reckon he's definitely above even not just mid island level. I reckon he's definitely above large island level. Now we have his internal flare technique, which brings down star. He calls them stars. It's basically energy meteorites that fly from his wings and cause massive catastrophic damage. It's very hard to rank just how powerful this is. There's no clear excuse me, understanding of where you would rank this. It's implied to be stronger than his usual arcane breath attack. So I'd say it's above island level. I would say that this is bordering on, I would personally say, small country level of AP this Eternal Flare attack is, with the potential of it being stronger if, Acnologia put a bit more oomph behind it. But I do reckon it is small country level there. However, if you wanted to upscale him, I don't like, for me personally, I don't think I can put him anywhere above large country level if we're wanking him off in terms of just a singular attack and what that devastation can wrought. And this is where we need to stop right there. Because I reckon that, I don't reckon it. I feel like most people have this understanding as well. AP to me is what a character can do with one attack. For instance, if you fight like a Frieza firing off a key blast, he's able to destroy an entire planet and obliterate it. That is a planetary level feat to me. I don't think that we can say that Acnologia is a continent level threat. If you did and you extremely highballed him, it would be low continent at best, in my opinion. Now, that's going to be ambiguous to a lot of people because continents vary in size, which is a fact. But use it as an example of it goes island, then country, then continent. I personally think he's low to mid country level in singular AP. But, and this is the important bit, I do reckon that he is a planetary threat and very, very much an extinction level opponent where he has the ability to wipe out all life on Earth. I truly believe. I reckon he could easily like go around firing off eternal flares and just wipe out all of existence, and no one with the potential of Zeref, potential of END, could stop Acnologia in any way. I think he's too powerful. He's damage because that's where people are like, oh, what? He's not even continent level. Yeah, no, but he can fire these attacks off without limit because he can absorb other elements and absorb the magic around him, meaning he can restore his magical energy. In just a day, I reckon he could wipe out all of life on existence. Zareth even says about him that if he wanted to, he could have conquered the world. Sting in the future timeline mentions that Acnologia pretty much enslaved all of the world and killed almost all of the humans and enslaved the dragons. Like, he is definitely, multiple different sources would claim that he is it's in his goddamn epithet, the apocalypse dragon. He is an extinction level threat is where I would place him, with a singular AP that is at small country level if we want to be generous. I don't think he's planetary. I'm not even sure he could destroy the actual physical core of the planet fast enough where I would be comfortable calling him like pseudo planetary. I reckon to be able to do that, you need to do it in a minimum amount of attacks. You just don't get infinite time to destroy the world. But I do reckon he can wipe out all life on Earth. That's where I stand on that judgment on his strength. Now, Zeref. Is he more powerful than Zeref? Short answer is yes. I would say that Acnologia is the most powerful character in the core material of Fairy Tail without getting into the 100-year quest arc. I reckon Fairy Heart Zeref could probably beat Acnologia, but I reckon it would be a big kind of stalemate and there wouldn't be a true outcome or a true victor, or that there's enough information to truly determine without a shadow of a doubt which one of them is more powerful. So I'd say Acnologia is stronger with the potential of Zera Fairy Heart being able to just stalemate him and maybe they take each other out. I do reckon that Acnologi's ability of time, people will say that, well, he can control time and space. He's getting into levels, even like universal levels. It's complete rubbish. He actually gets weaker when he absorbs eats the time and space rift he's not even strong enough to be able to stabilize it by himself. I reckon that ruined his character a lot, and he should have just been firing off arcane dragon breaths and eternal flares and just coating his claws in goddamn Dragon Slayer magic and just ripping apart everyone, and no one would have stopped him, I don't reckon. With the exception of, Power of Friendship, END Natsu would have probably been able to do the job there. But I do reckon he's more powerful than Zeref. Where this gets interesting, though, is Zeref, in my opinion, is more powerful if it came to a crossover battle. What I mean by that is that I think even with what I speculated of Acnologia's durability and negation of abilities, you could do a certain line of arguing where that might be a little bit generous on my part. We don't explicitly see him be totally immune to everything. And I do think that Acnologia would be also vulnerable to Hack's abilities. And I do also reckon that he is vulnerable to people overpowering him in energy output, like Dragon Ball characters. I don't think he's, like I said, I don't think Acnologia is more than a mid-sized country level AP. And we have Dragon Ball characters that can destroy, solar systems. So I think that Acnologia would struggle a lot because he's all just brute force, massive energy blasts and muscles essentially. While yes, he has what I reckon his most valuable ability, his hacks, durability, and negation. I do think that can be overcome and doesn't do him, it might stalemate other crossover enemies, but doesn't do him a world of, well, it does do him good, but isn't a foolproof plan to take out other stronger characters from potentially the big three. Zeref, on the other hand, has so many different hacks abilities where I think he has if we were comparing like Zeref and Acnologia facing like the big three shonen members, I do think Zeref would do a better job and produce much, much better results. Even just with his death manipulation, he's soloing and his immortality mixed with death manipulation, he's soloing like 90% of the big three. Throw on the dozens upon dozens of other abilities, the ability to control time and space, the ability to create living beings. Go watch my Zeref video that I just put out. I do reckon Zeref is stronger than what Acnologia is in terms of what he can do in a crossover battle. I just don't think Zeref himself has the tools to defeat Acnologia. So I reckon the story's done a fabulous job at making them very near oppositions here, where it's good enough where we can have a debate about it. But let's wrap the video up with the answer of Acnologia more powerful than Zeref. Base Zeref without 100% certainty. He's stronger than base Zeref. Fairy Heart Zeref, I reckon it would be a stalemate with Acnologia. I know that's a little bit of fence sitting, but to actually give you a character to put my whole chest behind, the fact that Zeref could do so much better against everyone else in the anime world, I will, and with how it would be a stalemate with Acnologia, I will give him the benefit of the doubt and put my money on Zeref. I think he's a more interesting character as well. Acnologia had more threat behind him, but it kind of gets wasted and ruined a little bit. Same is true of Zeref, but Zeref wasn't supposed to just be this ultimate. Well, we're finally focused in there. Zeref wasn't supposed to be this just ultimate kind of evil monstrosity. He was supposed to have a character journey that got redeemed. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked the video. If you want to see more content like this, please let me know. And if you've liked it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe.